In 3, 2, 1, you are listening to the Real Spicy Podcast, a Pedro experience. Yo, you're listening to the Real Spicy Podcast. My name is Pedro. I'm back at it again. This time, off the top of the dome. It's been a while since I've done a solo podcast episode. Low key, I miss it. But the one thing that I come to realize is that when you do solo podcasts, you got to know how to talk and keep it fluid. Your boy likes to talk a lot. That doesn't mean that I'm very good at it. So what I have done is actually listen to every single podcast episode that I've done, and I've listened to it. And I realized that I say a lot of ums and and that's really cool, awesome, dang. So I have safe words when I don't know what to say, aka filler. So I've been practicing a lot on that. And the most important thing is if you can't figure something out to say, a pause will be good enough. For the most part, I know a lot of actors do that. So instead of thinking for your next line, you pause, give it a more direct, intense feel, pick up where you left on, and go from there. So this will be a podcast episode of trial and error. I will make sure that I catch myself because, I'm trying to make this podcast the best possible thing ever. Also, I came to realize too that some of my friends know that this is just like a hobby, but people that aren't really close to me think that this podcast is like my full-time job. Nah, this is just a hobby. Well, actually, it would be really cool if it was my full-time job, but hey, you know what? Things like that will only take time, but hopefully, maybe in the future, if I can get a sponsor. There we go. Another But hopefully in the future I can get a sponsor and make a living off this. That would be really cool. I think anybody would want to do that if they pursue like a passion, like photography, videography. You do it, you start off doing it as a hobby, but sooner or later, hopefully you start making money for it, making that money. So let's talk a little bit about Hollywood. So whenever you think about like a Spanish or Mexican, actually let's stick more with Mexican. You think of a Mexican character, the stereotype is, hey, what's up, fool? Like for real, dog. Damn, fool. Like, what's up? Like you get that cholo, kind of derpy voice, or you get the really tough guy with like a deeper voice. Hey, fool, you want to, what? No, how does it go? Hey, fool, what you looking at, dog? And something like that, like I can't do that one, but I can do the derpy one. But every time you think of a stereotypical character, you think of that voice. Or let's say like a black guy in a film. You get that like hood thug character. It's a stereotype. But then I started thinking, these stereotypes aren't accurate. Just you can be a regular guy with a regular, maybe with not a regular accent, but an accent. When I speak English, I've caught myself with an accent, or I say certain words differently. Why can't that be a norm? Like, why do we have to exaggerate the accent, exaggerate the words? The main one, because I started mimicking the couple like Asian cultures. And mostly I copy them from a comedy duo called Just Kidding Films, Bart and Joe. And they have talked a little bit many years ago. They were talking about Kimmy Schmidt, the show Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix. They were talking about there's an Asian character on there, and he goes for the most stereotypical like 1980s, 90s Asian accent, and it was like like I can't mimic it, but it was like one of those like chicken fried rice, like very stereotypically offensive. Well, not offensive. Oh, I guess it is offensive, but that's what they went for. And they were talking about how like how they've gone for roles, and they fit the profile. They want an Asian actor, and they said, hey, can you get me a Vietnamese accent? And they go for like the Vietnamese accent with the like that noise. So the only thing that I can think of that they would normally say is cuss words, so my apologies, but it's like fuck you motherfucker, like that. But they have said that in certain casting, they wanted like the konnichiwa, like the very stereotypical accents. Then I remember they mentioned, yeah, we got asked to do a Korean accent, so it was certain words and phrases that they were saying that I caught on. So I started thinking to myself, when are these roles going to be more accurate to the actual person? And what I mean by that is, can't you just be an Asian guy with a slight accent? Or not even an accent, just, I guess, be Asian? Or can't you be a Latino without being the Consuela? I clean. No lemon pledge. I mean, you got like Family Guy who makes fun of that character, or doesn't have to be the cholo or the thug, or what's the other one from the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I forgot his name, but it's like the derpy Mexican accent. Like, I know what, like I can't believe it, like that. Sometimes I'm like, yo, we're not that goofy. And I say we as in like Latinos, we're not that goofy. Yes, I mean, the LA accent is very prevalent, and it doesn't really help us out. And sometimes I catch myself talking like that. Like, I have a group of friends, and sometimes they talk like that, and then out of nowhere, I'm like, hey, fool, like, I'm hungry. What the fuck? Hey, bro, I'm hungry. Or, hey, Tony, I'm hungry. Let's go eat. I catch myself because I'm like, damn, I'm falling to these stereotypes. But it would be really cool to have, like, I think, how do I say this? I think cancel culture is kind of helping the cause, because things are becoming super, super offensive. Which, I mean, as a comedian myself, or as a humorous person myself, I don't find those things offensive. I just find them inaccurate. And that's another word that I can't pronounce, so I do apologize. Sometimes, like throughout this, I'm gonna sound as dumb as DJ Khaled. Accurate. But that is a word that I can't pronounce. It doesn't seem so accurate. Crap. So my apologies on that. But yeah, it would be nicer if these accents, if these voices, if these characters weren't so stereotypical. Like, I get it. Like, let's say you're doing a movie about the South from, the slave days, and you got like a Southern accent. I mean, that makes sense, Mulan. That's another movie. Like, a bunch of them were Asian. If you have an Asian accent, that's totally fine, but you don't have to exaggerate it. Well, talking about Mulan, I thought that was when it came to like the characters and the way that they spoke, it was perfect. Like, that's what the future should look like when it comes to ethnic and cultural characters and casting calls. If they have an accent, and if the film is about Chinese culture, well, it's fine if they have this like Chinese American accent, not the like that's so offensive, But if I can't do an accurate one. I can probably do like a stereotypical one, but or an offensive one. But I like that movie. Like, the casting on that was pretty good, but the movie itself, I don't know how I felt about that. It was a decent movie for what it was. They try to make it more original or unique or just a completely new film, keeping a little bit of the aspects from the OG one. And I thought it was okay. Not to dive into the Chinese politics of it, because I've read a lot of articles about the Hong Kong and mainlanders having some issues. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about that. I did not read too much about that. I only read about the critical, or the critiques, not the criticals, the critique that people had about the movie. I thought it was decent. I wouldn't say it was great, but again, it goes back to nostalgia. Like, I wanted, like, let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. Like, I wanted that, at least that song. That would have been great. But no songs were done in this movie. From what I've noticed, it tried to go for more of a darker theme or tone, which it worked. It was fairly like a dark movie. But if they were trying to go for more of the realistic aspect of it, I think they really fucked up on that. But that's just my opinion. I thought it was great though. Would I watch it again? Probably. But again, I love Mulan. It is my favorite Disney movie. And I'm not like a Disney fanatic. I don't watch a lot of Disney movies. From all the princesses, I know of them. I know of their story. But I don't think I've watched like Cinderella. I don't think I've watched Snow White. I don't think I've watched all of Pocahontas. I watched all of Aladdin. That really interested me. I watched all of Mulan, Mulan 2. Anything Mulan, I pretty much watched it. I liked it. Other Disney princesses, Tangled, I don't think I watched that. I watched about 3/4 of Frozen. That's another one. I watched all of Tarzan. But these movies just don't really interest me. But Mulan is like one of the few and unique cases when it comes to Disney that I've watched multiple times, and also Lilo and Stitch and Lion King. Lion! That's another one that I definitely watched. But Mulan, I liked it. Would I watch it again? Yes. Would I recommend it to someone who's never watched Mulan? Yes, I would definitely recommend it. But if you've watched Mulan, like the animated one, probably not, because we're so stuck in nostalgia that you're just going to be angry about it. Like, I was upset. But then I stepped back, I looked at it as a whole. It was all right. And then, that Sasuke, it was all right. It was that type of vibe. But for the most part, I don't know how I came about the accent, but it all stemmed, I was on a road trip. Oh, it wasn't accents. Now I remember. It was like certain words from different cultures or languages that we know. And I said, I know a couple words from other languages, like 안녕하세요 is Korean. I believe that means hello. Then 안녕와 means you're beautiful in Vietnamese. Arigato, I believe that means hello in Japanese. And then the one that, because I was talking to someone who speaks Japanese, and I said, well, I know how to say I am your shirt. And she's like, how'd you come up with that? Okay, let me tell you. So here in Las Vegas, we have a local team for soccer. And we had a former Japanese player who played obviously on he's Japanese, so he played on the Japanese soccer team, like national team. But we ended up getting him on loan. And I really liked him. And so I went up to him, and his last name was Kobayashi. I forgot his first name, but it was Kobayashi. So I went up to him, and he knows very little English. And I'm like, okay, let me be nice. Let me Google it. So I Googled it. Hey, can I have your shirt? Which is like the shirt on his back. Sometimes they do that. Other times, no. And so I went up to him, and I said, I'm so sorry. Watashi wa... No, I said, I'm so sorry if I mispronounce it, but... Watashi wa anato joji. And he looked at me, and I can tell this guy looked at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I said, okay, hold on. So I even said it with an accent. Well, I said it how Google Translate told me to do it. So I said, okay. Watashi wa anato joji. And he said, a very broken English. He said, you just told me I am your shirt. I'm sorry. He's like, no, I understand. Yes, you can have my shirt. Oh, thank you. He signed it. He gave it to me. And I guess, so I know one phrase and one word from Japan or Japanese. Arigato and watashi wa anato joji, which means I am your shirt. Besides that, I believe that's all the words and phrases that I knew. And that's how the conversation started about accents. And we just started talking about how they're so stereotypical and exaggerated in movies. And I'm like, you know what? That's a really good topic to talk about. Huh. Yeah. But talking about accents and different languages. This reminded me. So for the podcast, I am so blessed to have advisors, I guess you can say. Well, they're my friends, but I feel like they're my like business advisors or my managers in a sense. So they listen to my podcast and they're like, "Hey, you could have said this. Hey, it's starting to get repetitive. You repeated yourself multiple times. Hey, this was low-key offensive. Is that something you wanted to do?" But the one thing that I get from multiple friends, and it's consistently the same, they tell me, "Gil, you travel a lot, or you used to travel a lot. How come you never talk about those stories?" And I said, "Well, they don't really come up in conversation. Like, like, how am I going to bring up, oh, yeah, with with Kim, Carabata, talks about working with crocodiles. Oh, crocodiles. Oh, I remember that one time I went to Oktoberfest. That literally has nothing to do with crocodiles. So it just never comes up in conversation to the point that I can talk about it. But when it comes to different languages and accents, this is what I remember. So I went to France, or Paris, and I loved it. First of all, Paris was a major vibe. I enjoyed everything of it. Except the food. But again, being Latino, like everything is like super, super spicy. And French food is very subtle, very clean, kind of bland. I'm not saying that it's disgusting or gross. It's just a little bit bland. And being Latino, I like my shit really spicy to the point that like you're sweating, but you're like, oh, this shit's bomb. So that's what I like. So going to France, I've been there twice, but one of the times, my goal was to go to the Louvre. How do I start this story? So one of my goals was to go to the Louvre. The first time I went, I did not go to the Louvre. I went to the other museum, which I probably should have done a little research and remembered what other museum, but it's another big ass museum with a bunch of like Picasso paintings and all that. But it's not the Louvre with the Mona Lisa. So I said, I'm coming back to France one day and I'm going to go into the Louvre. Because, if you're in France, you should probably go to the Louvre. Obviously, the Eiffel Tower, I've been to it. I took a picture in front of it. I've been inside it. It was fun. It was cool. It's one of those like, yeah, I did it. Cool. It's nothing special. I think it would be a lot more special if I probably did the most stereotypical thing or just the most cheesy thing, I guess I can say, and propose, at the Eiffel Tower. But just taking a picture of it, like in my Mexican, I have a voice inside. You know how you talk to yourself. With the voice that I talk to myself is like the derpy cholo voice, like, wow, mira, wow, está bonito, wow. That's how I talk to myself. Guys, I'm not crazy, but please believe me, I'm not crazy. Like what? No. But that's how I've always talked to myself. Okay, well, I don't, like I said, I don't have mental issues. Well, not that I know of, but I didn't have any brothers and sisters. So sometimes when I would have self monologues, and so Inside Out, the movie. You know how there's multiple voices in your head. That's how I would talk to myself, like. You look at a cool picture, you would analyze it, like, that's a very beautiful photo. I would probably do something different. Oh, I like the red. You just talk to yourself like that. Not full-blown conversations, but the way that I talk in my head to myself is that voice. Wow, mira. Fuck, esto está todo red. Wow. And so, now you guys know, but sometimes I mentioned it, and sometimes it comes out too in conversations like, wow, what? Wow, that's a really cool photo. So I have to go back to like my regular voice. But yeah, so back to Paris. The Eiffel Tower. It's all right. I'm taking a couple photos at it. Nothing special. But I remember my second time that I went to this castle or mansion the city. I don't know, but it was very beautiful, to say the least. It's called Versailles, so very photogenic place where everything you look at, you can take a photo. The gardens outside were very beautiful. So your boy is all about the photos. A lot of it I don't really post, but I love to pose in front of things. I like to do like panoramic shots. And so a lot, like when I went on this trip, they're like, dude, you're taking a lot of photos for the gram. And I believe from like the 500 photos that I took of different things, not like, you know how like if you take, well, again, this is a stereotype, but like girls, when they take photos, they take about 50 shots of the same thing within 2 minutes, which is just a bunch of selfies. I took about, I would say, 200 shots throughout the whole weekend, and almost every other photo was something different. But out of all those photos, I would say I think I only posted like two or three. But I loved it. It was very beautiful. But a story that I always remember is, so we're in this museum. It's called Versailles, or this city called Versailles, at the mansion. Very beautiful. We're walking around, and I see this like daughter mom trying to take a photo. So the daughter's taking a picture of her mom, and then the mom switches out and takes a picture of the daughter. So I noticed that they're talking Spanish. Hey, mija, aquí está el teléfono, toma mi foto. Cool. I was like, actually, let me capitalize on this. And I went up to them in Spanish. I said, hey, do you want me to take a photo of you two together? And they said yes. And again, this is all in Spanish. Also, the girl was really cute. So that was literally my whole intention. Let me talk to this cute girl. Let me sort of squeeze myself in there and see what I can do. And at the time, I would say I was like 40 pounds lighter. So my confidence level was at the highest level possible. This is a joke, or take it as you want. But I had some, well, it's not a joke. It's more reality. I had big fucking dick energy. Like I was confident to a whole other level. I mean, I'm telling you, 40 pounds can really, like, a difference can really change your attitude about everything. So I was like, what is she going to do? Deny me? Okay, it's her loss. So I went up and I started having a full-on conversation with this girl. And, you know, we're just talking. We're actually going through a third of the museum in together. And we're just talking this and that. And she's like, yeah, I'm from Mexico. And when I travel, I never say I'm from the U.S. Never. Especially outside of Mexico. I never say I'm from the U.S. I say I'm from Mexico. The reason is, again, this is going to be a story within a story. The reason is I've come to realize that when I traveled a lot, people don't like people from the U.S. It's either we're too arrogant, or the one thing I hate, everybody wanted to talk and ask me questions about Trump. Hey, what do you think about the president? I don't know. He's the president. I mean, I don't know the guy, but they wanted to know information about him. And I'm like, yo, he's not like my homie or anything. I can't just call him up. But that's usually all they ask. Oh, where are you from? The U.S. Oh, how's Trump? I don't know. Let me give him a call. Hey, yo, what it do, Trump? Hey, China. You know, like, what are we going to talk about, you know? So that's the one thing that I always try to avoid. So it's either they talk about Trump or they just don't like the U.S. And this became very prevalent in my assumption when I was in Germany. I'm talking to a couple in Spanish, which I'll add on to it. So I'm talking to them in Spanish, and they're talking to me, and they asked me, where are you from? I said, I'm from Mexico. Again, everything's in Spanish. So de Mexico. Oh, cool. How do you like it? Oh, I love it. And the reason why I say I'm from Mexico is because I go there once a month. I know the area, mostly Baja California, which is like the TJ area, Rosarito. Like I know that area fairly well. So if they ask me a question, normally I would know. And I was like, it's very beautiful. I live in Playas de Tijuana. The beaches are very beautiful. Weather's good. I don't know. I'll make up something. And great, full-on conversation. But then I add, but I moved to the U.S., so now I live in the U.S. This is where it gets interesting. The girl, so it's a couple, a guy and a girl. The girl says, wait, you're from the U.S.? I was like, no. I live in the U.S. I live in Las Vegas. And she's like, huh, I'm so surprised. I said, why? Well, you speak Spanish and you know English? I was like, yes. So she flips it. She goes, hablas español? Sí. And then you speak English? Sí. I mean, yes. What? So it threw me off. And so we started talking English. And I'm like, holy crap, this girl knows 3 languages. So we're talking. And then she said, I'm very surprised that you live in the U.S. I said, oh, really? She's like, yeah, you speak Spanish very well. How long have you lived there? I was like, oh, I lived there like 10 years. No, I was born and raised in Las Vegas. I was like, oh, I lived there in 10 years. And she said, dang, you know 2 languages. Well, that's way more than most of the, what did she say? That's more languages than most of the fuckers from the USA. Oh, yeah. Fuck those guys. Like, I had no idea. Low-key, I was afraid. So I started asking questions. I said, wait, so how many languages do you know? And she's like, I hablo español. I speak English. Then she starts talking to me in Arabic. And then she's like, I also know German. So 9, whatever she said. I'm like, oh, shit. Okay. Well, I mean, I can see the hate. But I'm from Mexico. I don't know. I just thought it was a lot. Ever since then, I have always said I'm from Mexico because that just reinforced my theory about the world versus the U.S. So just to keep it neutral, I'm from Mexico, the state of Baja California. But when I'm in the U.S., I'm born and raised in the USA. Party in the USA. But okay, back to the story from Versalles. So I'm at Versalles. I'm talking to this girl, and I'm digging it. I said, you know what? Let me get her number. But I'm like, well, in my head, let me get her WhatsApp. So if you ever talk to people from like other countries, they use WhatsApp. And I said in my head, hey, ¿me puedes dar tu WhatsApp? Y dijo, claro que sí. Which is like, hey, can I have your WhatsApp? And she's like, absolutely. And she said, where are you from? And I'm like, oh, I'm from Mexico. She's like, yeah, I knew that. I mean, you already said that. And you speak Spanish, but like, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Baja California. And she looked at me, did an up, down, and said, oh, no, está bonito. Pues, ¿sabes qué? Tengo que irme. Y que tengas un buen día. Which is translate, hey, I have to go. But I just want to say it was a pleasure talking with you. Have a wonderful day. Okay, so first of all, I never got her WhatsApp. And I came to realize that out of all the states that I could have said, I probably gave her the state that won is the most violent state of them all because of TJ. Is fairly poor. And when you're from the city of Mexico or Mexico, La Ciudad de Mexico or Mexico City, and you get to travel, that means that you got money. I mean, she got money. Because to travel from, if you're using like Mexican currency, the dollar, the peso is fairly low. So if she's able to travel and go in the euro, oh my God. So like the euro is like, I would say $1.30. Okay. Now, if you get the dollar, so for every dollar, for every dollar you get €1.30. Euros. Well, if you go to Mexico and you give them $1, you get roughly about 1875 pesos. So imagine that. The currency, so already, homegirl got money. So when I said that I'm from Baja, I'm pretty sure she judged the fuck out of me. But, what she don't know that I judged her because your boy's from the USA. Woo woo, USA! Sorry, that high key came out. No. Jokes aside, I actually had that plan saying it for a second. But no, like I got judged for a state that I don't even live in. But I'm like, you know what? Let it go. What's the likelihood of that I would ever talk to her? Probably like a 1% chance. Because honestly, I probably wouldn't have talked to her. But it was just the fact that I wanted to come back to my buddies who were with me. Like, hey, your boy just got a number, but unfortunately I didn't get that number. But, even when I lie of where I'm from, it's still not good enough. Know that you are good enough. Damn, dog, I'm never good enough. No, but the true story, though, I guess I wasn't good enough for that girl. So, Versalles was a vibe. I did not get a number as I thought I would, but overall, it was a great experience. So we go back to the city, Paris, And I said, cool, I cannot wait. The next day, I'm gonna go to the Louvre. So my friends didn't want to go. They weren't too much into like museums. But I'm like, yo, I'm excited to go to the Louvre. So I got a ticket, and I was like there at 8:00. It opens at 8, so your boy got there at 7:30, and I was in line, and it was really cold outside, and my dumbass was like, I'll just wear like a really light jacket. I regretted everything about it. It was freezing, but I got into the Louvre. I run to the Mona Lisa, to where I thought it was, and it wasn't there. Apparently, it got moved. And even though I was 40 pounds lighter, I don't do good when it comes to running. But I said, screw it, I'm running. So I started running to one place to the other, to where the Mona Lisa is now. Yeah, when I got there, the line was about 1.5 miles long. I said, you know what, ¿sabes qué, dog? It's not going to work out. Let me just enjoy the rest of the museum that no one's in line for. And I guess I'll come back one day to look at the Mona Lisa. But, random fact, a lot of people, even myself, think that the Mona Lisa is this huge portrait, like a couple feet long, like 6 feet long. No, it's actually really tiny. Like, how would I describe it? I would say like it looks like it's an 8x10. Like it's not that tiny, but it's fairly tiny. It's not a big ass photo like it seems to be in pictures. It's small, but yet again, it is one of the most prized art possessions of all time. But it's fairly small. Well, I like a lot of the art that I like. The one that I love the most, and I forgot his name, which is really fucked up. If I like art, I should probably know people's names. But I really love art that paints a picture of like religion, pictures of Jesus, angels, the Virgin Mary. I love those. They're very powerful, in my opinion. Like I looked at a couple and I stared at them, and my again, when I look at art, I talk to myself like, wow, damn, that's fucking deep. Like that voice, it got serious. Like, wow, that is very deep. What are the thoughts that you're thinking of, Gil? That this world is existential. I started using words I didn't even know. That's how deep these photos made me think. Omnipotent, or like whatever's, but I can't think of any hard words, but I know I was saying hard words to myself. But those were honestly some of the greatest art pieces that I think I've ever seen. But to get to the Louvre was an experience of its own. My dumbass, again, when I go to certain countries, I try to fit in. And obviously, I'm not like physically and I guess metaphorically, I don't fit in. Not knowing French. Clearly, I did not fit in. So I got myself an Uber. I get into the Uber, and the guy's quiet. And I was like, okay, this is getting very awkward. I said, hey, bonjour, je m'appelle Gilles. Instead of saying Gil, I said Jill, because I believe that's how it's pronounced. And I remember before I went in, I said, I'm going to the Louvre. So I said something, the Louvre. And not the Louvre. I said the Louvre. And they're like, oh, guys, bonjour, chulu. And they started like full-on conversation. Yo, I froze, and the Spanish came out. Because if I talked English, it probably wouldn't be so good. So the Spanish come out, and out of all the times that my inner cholo voice was released at the wrong moment. So instead of saying, oh, in Spanish, obviously. So think of this in Spanish. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I don't speak French. My apologies. In Spanish, I said in the most cholo, derpy voice that I can say, ¿Sabes qué, dog? No te entiendo, güey. And then as soon as I said that, what the fuck are you talking about, Gil? Like, I regretted that. And granted, the guy didn't understand, but it was like the most slang, stereotypical thing. Like, it was like, you know what, dog? I can't understand shit. That's pretty much what I said. And I could have said something way more formal. Hey, I do apologize. I don't understand. But nope, I went the most stereotypical thing that I could have come up with. And I felt dumb, okay? That's how dumb. That's how I wanted to. I mean, now I laugh about it, but at the time I got so red, and I was like, you know what? Just shut the fuck up. Don't say anything else. And it was quiet all the way to the Louvre. But long story short, your boy got to the Louvre. I enjoyed looking at a couple art pieces. I cried a little bit. That's how deep it was, man. Like, I cried a little bit. But coming back, we're going to talk about France. If we're going to talk about France, let me tell you the story. Coming back, we were leaving that day. So I left the Louvre, and I didn't have any signal. And so I'm running through like little coffee shops around the area. Again, your boy don't run. But I said, I'm trying to go back home, So let me find some Wi-Fi. I connect to some Wi-Fi, and I got an Uber back to my apartment that we were at. And I get there. I forget the code. And I'm like, oh, shit. We're leaving. Like, we have to head out to the airport in an hour. Well, yeah, we have to be there in an hour. Because when I got there was the exact same time that we had established that we were going to leave the apartment. And I'm panicking. Like, I'm like, oh crap. My group left me. Like, I wasn't late. I was literally on time. They said 12:30. I was there at like 12:25. I was there 5 minutes early. Let's do this. I don't know the code. I don't have Wi-Fi. I don't have signal. I'm panicking. I said, oh fuck, I gotta go find a coffee shop. Again, I'm back to running. And these streets are not flat. They're jaggedy. They're fucked up, as you can, like, they're not flat. So like, if I'm running, I have to watch where I'm stepping or I'm falling and I'm eating it, So I'm running. And I find a coffee shop. Nothing. No Wi-Fi. Then I go into this grocery store. Nothing. I go into a restaurant. Nothing. So I go into this wine, where they sell wine. Looks, I guess, not a liquor store, but I guess like a wine cellar. So I go there, and I said, "Hablas español?" And they said, "Sí." Oh shit. Oh, perfect. And then I said, "Hey, I don't have signal, and I just need Wi-Fi. Do you have a hotspot?" And they said, "No." I said, okay, I'm not and I'm like, motherfucker, I know you have something, you can help me out. I said, I'm not homeless. Again, all in Spanish. I'm not homeless. I have money. And I think I offered him like €5, which is like $6. I said, I'll give you €5 if I can just use your hotspot. I'll use my phone. Just connect me to your hotspot. And he said, oh, hold on. He goes to the back, gets his phone, and he connects me. And I give him the money. He's like, no, keep it. I said, motherfucker, you thought I was homeless? Or like, I thought, I didn't look homeless either. Like, I was going to the Louvre, I wanted to dress up. But I don't think he trusted me. I didn't want his phone. I just needed to connect my phone to something. I got onto Wi-Fi. I call my group, and I'm like, yo, I'm so sorry. I'm literally a block away. Where you at? Yo, we're waiting for you outside. Oh my God. I'll be right there in less than 2 minutes, okay? Granted, the store is 5 minutes away. I said, yo, I got to shift into turbo. I said, thank you so much. Muchas gracias. I'm talking like 3 different languages, saying everything I can. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. And I'm so thankful. And he's like, no, it's okay. It's okay. I said, I got to go. Bye. And I'm running. And then like, yo, we were going to leave you. I said, really? No, we weren't going to leave you, but we were kind of worried. Like, you're one of the people that show up on time. And not seeing you out here kind of freaked us out a little bit. I was like, dude, I was outside putting every single code that I can think of. Nothing. Dude, I look like a crackhead, okay, for a second. Like, before I went to look for Wi-Fi, I'm banging on the door. So I look like I'm trying to get back with my ex. Then I start yelling. I'm like, hey. So my buddy, his name is Carlos. I was like, Carlos. Dude, from the outside in, I look like I'm fucking losing my mind, okay? Like, what the hell is this crackhead doing outside? I'm banging on the door, and I'm yelling. Again, I think our apartment was like on the 3rd floor, so I'm like, he's not gonna hear me. Fuck it. Carlo! Like, I'm yelling with everything that I have. Nothing. And yes, people were there and they were looking at me. Did they record me? I don't know. I hope not, but I wouldn't doubt it because I really look like an oversized, obese crackhead. I'm bald, like, holy shit, man. He's been through some shit. He already lost his hair. But, and again, this podcast is not about like weight loss or about travel. I just happen to do those two things. Hence why I talk about them a little bit more than I should. So my first year that I started traveling, your boy is fucking fat, okay? So I had to buy 2 seats. I didn't want to go through an embarrassing moment where they tell me to step out of the plane or buy 2 seats, so I did it for them before they even beat me. And it did happen twice where they asked me, sir, we're going to need you to ask, we need to ask you to step out, and I'm no cap. Hopefully I used that right, yo. I'm just trying to get with the times. No cap. I said, ho, I bought these 2 seats. I think the first time it was a guy. So I called him a hoe. I said, ho, I bought these 2. I don't know. I was so angry because that's literally the one thing that I feared. Being I was 400 pounds. I was like 420. Being a 400, no, I think I was like 450. Being a 450 pound behemoth fucking sumo looking Mexican man being kicked out of a flight because I was too fat. So I tried to beat them to the punch. And I was pissed. I said, no. I have tried and I have done everything to prevent this from happening, and it came out. Like, I could have said, hey sir, I bought 2 seats. Nope, I got hella defensive, and the first thing I said, ho, I bought these 2 seats. And they're like, really? Can I see your boarding passes? Oh no, he said, can I see your boarding pass? So I gave him 2, and he's like, oh, my apologies, sir. Have a great day. And I could have easily said, my apologies for calling you a hoe, but I didn't say anything. I just sat down, and the people around me just looked at me, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Don't say anything. Don't look around. Just look down. Put on your headphones. Pretend like nothing happened. But yeah, your boy bought 2 seats. But okay, so I knew that I had to buy 2 seats. So what I would do is there were times where I'm like, yo, I ain't got shit to do this weekend. So I would go to a website called Skyscanner, and I would just put Las Vegas 2, and then I would put United States and then the dates that I was able to go. Well, it gave me a bunch of cities from cheapest to most expensive that I could go. And I remember one day to go to Atlanta, Georgia, it was like $29 for like the weekend coming up. And I think I bought my tickets like on a Tuesday. I said, $29, fuck it. I'll just buy, I'll buy 2 seats. Perfect. I beat it. And there were times where I paid a little bit more than $29. Sometimes I paid like $100 per seat. But the best flight, the best airline that is fluffy friendly is Southwest. Because yes, I used to pay like, let's say, flights a little bit more expensive, slightly more expensive. So I would say like they're 150, maybe 200 one way. So I would pay one way, but I would buy 2 seats. So that's 300 just one way. Let's say if it's 150. But all they need you to do is buy 2 seats to reserve the extra seat. After the flight is over, whether it's full or not, they will refund you that second seat. And I'm like, yo, Southwest, thank you for being fluffy friendly. And now that I'm less fluff, man, your boy's still fat as fuck. Even though I lost 220 pounds, I'm still a big guy. I think I weigh 308 right now. So I'm a big ass motherfucker. And I have bought 2 seats. Still, do I need them? No, but I have big ass shoulders. So I don't like to be hunched over or having to kind of move my shoulders in for like 3-hour flight, because that shit's uncomfortable. So I usually buy 2 seats. I remember once too with Southwest, I bought 2 seats, and they said, and it was a full flight, and they said, sir, that someone sitting next to you. I said, no, but I bought this seat. And they looked at me, well, you don't need 2 seats. Okay, but I bought 2 seats. So they took my second seat, gave me, and they said, we're going to give you credit because this is a full flight. And I said, no, I need a full refund. So what they did was gave me a refund and credit on top of that. And the guy who sat next to me was like, there's really tiny man. So I'm like, all right, bro, I can't really complain. Like I can open up my shoulders, and I'm not going to touch you. You're not going to touch me. We're good to go. But yeah, those are my traveling stories, bro. I got so much. I've been to the UK, Germany. That one time I went to Oktoberfest, Bahamas, Canada, Mexico quite a bit. I wish I've been to more. I really do. But those are what I've been to thus far. But I'm like, if we're talking about accents and different languages, let me tell you about my experience with different languages, hence why I talked about my France story. So, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I really do hope that you enjoyed the solo podcast episodes because I'm going to be doing them a little bit more because I want to get a little bit better at knowing how to talk properly, saying less ums and dang, cool. Those are just filler words. So practice makes perfect. So please expect more. I'm still going to have guests on. Don't worry. I enjoy having guests. I enjoy knowing their stories because everyone has a struggle. Everyone has some cool ass stories that I want to share. Like last week, we talked with my boy Hans. I had a couple people text me about that. Yo, bro, that was a funny episode. I had people on Instagram sharing that clip. And like, I'm not like best friends with them or even like really close to them, but they shared it. I'm like, yo, thank you. So obviously, these are amazing stories, hilarious stories that I want to use my platform to share with you guys. But before I forget, thank you so much for listening. Make sure to listen to us on Apple, Google, Spotify, and to watch with your eyes what you heard with your ears. Make sure to check us out on YouTube. Smash that like button, comment down below. And also, this is about us, all right? It's about us. Not just about me, it's about us. So it's a collaborative effort, even though I'm solo on this one. It's a collaborative effort. But with all that being said, thank you so much for listening to the Real Spicy Podcast. On that, I am out.